In 1983, Atari released several vector graphic-based arcade games that really felt like the future of 3D gaming. Little did they know, over 40 years later, we'd be playing games that look like this!
What the heck?
And this is our review of
Utopia Must Fall.
I'd like to thank the publisher for providing me a review copy of the game.
It was developed and self-published by Pixeljam! The game released into early access on Steam on September 9th last year, and has just released a huge performance update, including an engine overhaul with new features listed at $7.99. Now, I probably haven't played a game using vector-based graphics in, let's say, 30 years. I think last close contender may have been something like Star Fox on the N64. Although I don't think that really counts here. I do have a huge nostalgic lump in my throat for vector arcade games in the early 80s. I would have been about, say, 7 years old when Atari released the first Star Wars game along with a very similar Battlezone. I'm sure this made my parents' lives a living hell as I tried to scrap together every little quarter I could to dump into these dream machines. Of course, most pizza parlors and pubs had games like Asteroids, Tempest, or Gravatar over in the corner, and these games were all very bright and used contrasting colors that really made me feel like I was playing with lasers or something. Pretty cool. Which, this all felt really high-tech at the time. Pixeljam is bringing this nostalgia back to life with this week's title. The concept is pretty simple. Protect your city, earn XP, and upgrade your weapons and technology items to combat the growing hordes of invaders and meteorites. Although the game is in early access still, it's still being actively developed, and you can see a solid foundation of their vision here. They recently updated a performance update, adding the new V99 engine with multiple new modes, features, and options, including the way you upgrade your weapons and defense systems in between levels. At first glance, I'm sure you're thinking, whatever, he's missile command. No thanks. No thanks. Well, there may be similarities that you're pointing at, but, did missile command have one of these? The gameplay here is pretty easy to pick up and play. You'll quickly kind of start seeing that there are strategic choices on your upgrade builds that drastically affect your gameplay. I felt the repetitive nature of the gameplay here kind of started to wear thin after several games, with your only real engagements being between aiming your auto-fire cannon round and the option to spend one of your resource-constrained nukes. I would like to see some other kind of interfaces here with keyboard inputs to possibly broaden the scope on different weapons you're deploying, or, I don't know, maybe a story mode, PvP, or, as with anything, I think a co-op option might have some merit here. Overall, I see they have an exciting start to a beautifully exciting artistic and nostalgic title here. The gunfire echoing in the distance is a nice touch, but overall I was a little underwhelmed with some of the larger enemies. A grand entrance with ambient background music might go a long way for building suspense for the player. Knowing you're about to get hammered. Here it comes! It was a fun little trip down memory lane, and I'll look forward to revisiting this one when it gets its final release. Therefore, the score is a slightly bit higher than center with 3 beans out of 5. Yeah, well, that wraps up that review right there. Here's some notes I took. Where I put the keys to the truck. So, you know we make these new review videos every week, so if you're an indie developer or there's something you want to see,
I'm going to be ramping up and slamming multiple titles a week through the end of the year.
let us know your thoughts and recommendations in the comments down below. Be sure to visit again next week
As we continue to take humorous stabs at some of the industry's new and upcoming titles.
Cave Creek.
Stay safe out there. We'll see you next time on the Frog.